What's up, everybody? It's your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you in the Pink Dungeon, giving it to you real raw, rugged, and like the Breakfast Club said, we got a special guest in the building. But I'm letting him introduce himself. Who we got?
Yeah, what's cracking?
We got MC8, man. For the people who might not know, the younger people might not know who MC8 is. Just tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Man, shit, I've been around for a minute. Started out back in the days with my group, Compton's Most Wanted. You know, it's a Compton thing, straight checking the music to drive by. We got two good hits growing up in the hood from Boys in the Hood. Then I played AWACS and Menace to Society. Excuse me. We had to cut straight up Menace. And from there, Kendrick Lamar, DJ Premier, blah, blah, blah. Which way it's west. So this is where we at right now.
Facts, facts. Before we get to everything now, before we get to the music, I just have a couple questions because I know you're from LA, right?
Right.
I'm from
Compton.
if you're from Compton. I'm from Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, to be specific. And I like to ask people
Okay.
this. I like to ask people this that I interview from LA because I always say that like niggas from Florida, we can't like relate to niggas up north because it just seems like they almost like a different breed of black people. It's really weird like talking to people from up north. But when I talk to people from LA, it's almost like y'all are cousins or some shit. So from you being, the OG from LA, I'm pretty sure you've been to Florida before. Have you ever been to Florida and noticed this? Like, or do you connect with people better in New York?
Um, Actually, my father was born and raised in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I used to go to Florida all the time, summer vacation. So I can relate to that all day.
Okay, so you know what I'm saying. So you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. It's just that type of feel. Like just like with us here, with guys. Excuse me.
You good, but
It's like with us here, niggas up in the Bay Area.
mm-hmm.
Even though we all Cali, Southern Cali has a different flavor than Northern Cali. But then we relate to different niggas in other states. Like, I relate to niggas in Florida good. I relate to niggas in Chicago good.
Yep, Chicago. Yep.
It's just that feel, I guess, because of the sort of element of niggas that we represent in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's with New York, New York has always been a different thing. So it's kind of hard for niggas to be playing outside of New York if you're not in that surrounding area, the boroughs, Philly, Baltimore, whatever. But for us, yeah, I think it was just a southern draw because a lot of southern people migrated to the motherfucking west. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, I
It's
agree.
like my mom's is from Mississippi and my dad is from Tampa, Florida. So, I got two southern people who migrated to the West Coast, but I still kept southern roots because every summer I would go to either Tampa or Gulfport, Mississippi for summer vacation.
So you was already raised in the South, so you already was based and rooted.
Yeah, I was raised in if I wasn't in Tampa during the summer from the time I was about 8 or 9, it was either Gulfport, Mississippi, or it was Tampa, Florida, is where I spent my summers. So I definitely can relate to all of that because basically I was raised as like a southern kid.
That's crazy. You also bring up Chicago because that's another place that I say that I feel like I've never been to Chicago, but I've like seen a medical people and I'm like, damn, like they seem like they're a Florida nigga. So that's crazy to bring up Chicago too because I also feel like they can relate with us. So I'm glad that I'm not the only one that see that.
Right. Exactly, but like I said, when you've been there and you've seen and witnessed, and you got family and cousins or whatever from those places, and your parents were born there, it's kind of hard to forget your southern drawl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think I got a lot. I think I kept a lot of that within my father. A lot of dudes when I would travel, go on the road or shit, motherfuckers be like, "Where you from?" Because you don't seem like you from LA, the West Coast.
They think you
so
from somewhere else.
I had to tell people, no, I was born and raised in Compton, but my mother was from Gulfport, Mississippi, which is deep south, and my father was from Tampa, Florida. So you can get that. I don't have West Coast parents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to keep on going about just learning more about you as a person, I remember I was watching TV one day and I was watching Ancient Aliens with Action Bronson, and I seen you was on there. So that just sparked a question for me. When you at home, when you not making music, not doing nothing too crazy, what are you watching on TV? Like if you gotta watch something on TV, like what are some TV shows you like to watch?
Man, I watch I DVRs Married with Children like it ain't shit.
Man, Fire Show. That's a classic. That's a classic, man.
That's my favorite show.
Classic, man.
People tell me I got 100 episodes of Married with Children, so that's my favorite show. I watch, man. I'm a channel flicker. You know, anything that catches my interest, I try to peep out. Ancient Aliens, I watched that, so I was interested. I knew Alchemist, so they brought me on the show, which was cool. But like, I'm a person who can sit here and watch some Married with Children, then turn on a documentary about some prison shit or some killing shit or some drug shit, and then I can flick the channel and watch some motherfucking Old Good Times or Three's Company or some shit like that. I'm a channel surfer, so put it like that.
Very, very classic stuff. I was actually having a conversation with somebody about we were talking about black culture, but not even when you're talking about like all these old shows. I guess you could mention Good Times. I feel like the '70s, it was like a special time. It was like everything was so natural, from our soul music to Good Times to Jeffersons. And I feel like when you compare that now to today, would you agree it's different? It's like if you compare the music or the TV shows, it doesn't have that feel to it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because everything was kind of like, back in the 70s, we still had that home family type of, you get in trouble, your ass will get whooping, you better do good in school aspect of the straight and narrow. And I think, with the generation gap and shit, we kind of lost that when everything became about reality TV and, just front and center and live action. It took away from that element of TV because, I grew up in that era of Good Times and fucking the Cosby shows and just those good 70s shows, period. I don't want to just keep it on the black shows or whatever, because to me, all 70s programming to me was nostalgic.
To be honest,
yep. It had a message in the programming. So nowadays everything is reality TV. Who fucking with who doing what, who got money, who don't, who going broke, who cheated on who. So it took away from the aspect of the family shit.
That's a fact. Before we get off the TV shows, I would like to suggest 2 shows that you should watch, if you don't mind.
For sure.
Alright, so we got one show called 60 Days In. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of that. I've seen that.
Oh, you seen 60 Days In?
It's good.
Yeah.
Like I tell you, I'm a channel surfer.
Okay.
I've seen 60 Days In. I think that's a good ass motherfucking show.
Could you do that?
I mean, definitely. But see, it would be difficult for me to do it because motherfuckers know who I am. But I could pass for that, though.
Yeah.
Because seeing who I am still again, and niggas knowing I'm a street nigga or whatever, I could fit into that role. I might have to look into that.
You might have to, man.
I might got me a violation or something and gotta come do 60 days with niggas in the county and shit. That would be some shit. Because niggas would never expect that.
Not at all. That would be primetime TV right there. People would love to watch MC8 on 60 Days In.
Seeing who I am, motherfuckers would probably be on some like he would be in protective custody shit, but I'd be like, no, put me in general population with the niggas.
Yeah.
Because I kind of gravitate. I gravitate with my niggas from the neighborhood and lockdown and whatever. So. I think I fit right in. I mean, I done been to jail, so it ain't no different.
Okay.
It ain't like I ain't never been to jail. I've been to jail multiple times, so shit, it's nothing.
Okay. And then also, I would love for you to watch this movie. It's called Snow on the Bluff. You ever seen Snow on the Bluff?
I've never seen that.
Basically, it's a nigga in Atlanta. He got a camera, and he just walk around in the hood documenting everything he see. It's a crazy movie, so should watch Snow on the Bluff. I feel
Snow
like
in the Bluff. I'm
on
about to check
yes,
that
Snow
out.
on the Bluff. It's a
Snow
real
on the
gangster.
Bluff.
Yes, it's probably the best
For
gangster black film that came
sure.
out this decade. So yeah, I feel like you would like it.
Okay, I'll beat that out.
And are you a sports guy? Do you like any sports?
I do sports. I watch sport. Well, I coach football, so I can say I'm a sports dude.
Okay. Oh, you got a favorite football team?
My favorite team, like I've been a Chargers fan all my life.
Mm. Okay. Okay. I'm a Patriots fan, so you got the Chargers. We play y'all sometimes. Okay. Okay. Now going back to your childhood a little bit when you were growing up, what music were you listening to in the house?
Man, I listen. Man, I grew up. I grew up listening to Teddy Pendergrass,
Mm.
Shalimar, Marvin Gaye, Isaac Hayes. But my auntie was the music lady. Now my auntie had like a garage full of records. So I mean, she would listen to shit like Millie Jackson,
Mm.
fucking Tyrone Davis. Fucking my mom would bang like every weekend, like Bobby Blue Bland. You
Mm.
know, niggas, you know, I mean, they were like those backstreet 70s groups, not just the mainstream.
Yeah.
But like I said, one of my mom's favorite songs was Down Home Blues, Bobby Blue Bland, you know. So that's the music I grew up with real soul music, not to want to just name call the mainstream motherfuckers like you say.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody listen to Marvin. Everybody listen to Isaac or fucking Earth, Wind and Fire or whatever. But we listen to Millie Jackson in my mom's house, my auntie's house, Bobby Blue Bland, Tyrone Davis, just those basic, just soulful, shit talking motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Is who you get me?
Yeah.
You know, Millie Jackson used to talk shit on her records.
See, it's crazy you bring that up because I'm super young. Like I'm 18, right? But my mom, she grew up, and I grew up in the house. She's playing all that stuff, and I feel like I feel like that I'm missing in music right now, like the shit talking like an R&B, like they'll slow the beat up. It ain't even rapping like somebody like Bobby Womack. Like Bobby Womack have a 18-minute song of him just talking shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
He gonna talk exactly. We don't have that no more because, like I said, R&B terms just like rap terms. You know, so it's kind of hard to get into the R&B shit, like you say, when you grew up, because you missed those soulful ass, you know, crooning motherfuckers who would sit there and talk shit about, you know, it'd be shit talking in their motherfucking message. Yeah, I got fucked up, I burned, you know,
Yeah.
the bitch burned me with some hot grits and shit and blah, 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 but I still fucking, you know. Nowadays, everything is just so motherfucking make-believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, for example, like, I was listening to Bobby Womack, If You Think You're Lonely Now. And after that, I review albums, too. So I had to review, like, an R&B album, a new R&B album. And I just wasn't feeling it. I'm just like, I can't go from listening to something like If You Think You're Lonely Now and then go that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's just like I tell motherfuckers, just like with rap, with R&B. I listen to the shit my mom listened to. My mom ain't finna turn around and listen to no fucking Trey songs or fucking no The Weeknd or whatever. No disrespect to a motherfucker, but it's just like niggas. Nobody captures that nostalgic feel of the yesteryears. And then people want to say, you know, you gotta adapt to the fucking times, but still, that shit was there. And it's not like it can't live today. So it's just that people gotta reminisce and people gotta go back and see what the foundation of soulful music is, and then go from that step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, but I'm gonna come clean. You know what I think messed all that up? I think rap messed it up. I think rap, like,
which is true.
Yeah, so you agree with that? You think rap kind of
because you got singing niggas want to be rappers.
Yep.
You get me? You got a lot of singing niggas that rap persona. You know what I'm saying? The baggy jeans, the boots, the big chains, and all that. And definitely, I give it that because rap music did fuck up a lot of terms. But like I said, we a trend of followers and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing follows the other one. Shit.
I don't mean to interrupt, but when you think about it, rap was influencing R&B, and it was still good. Like at first, like for example, like when Jodeci came out, like they were the thug singing niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Because you had motherfuckers who still believed in the foundation of hip hop and where that came from. And you had niggas at the helm of some of those R&B motherfuckers. You know, so when you had hip hop niggas who knew what the foundation of hip hop was, behind these R&B crooners like Mary J. or Jodeci or fucking Bell Biv DeVoe,
Yep.
Boys to Men, to, you know, all those singers that came through, Faith Evans, whatever, because those producers grew up on the foundation of hip hop. So they knew, you know, them motherfuckers listen to 70s music, and their parents listen to that soulful shit and all that. So they still had that connection.
I agree. Well, before we fast forward, I have to ask you this because I'm a young person, but I love learning about new music. So you were saying that you was brought up on the underground soul music. So if you could just give me one or two songs, or anybody that's listening, one or two songs to listen to that we probably haven't heard, what would you suggest we go listen to?
As far as back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day. Because you said like your auntie had all like the underground soul music.
I tell people, I mean, if it was for R&B, I tell people to just go listen to shit like, go listen to a Bobby Womack album. Go listen to a fucking, let me see, who else? And if you just on some singing shit, go listen to a motherfucking LTD album. Go listen to a motherfucking shit. Go listen to a motherfucking Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway.
Oh man, Roberta Flack. Tell me what, I've been listening to her for the past month. That's crazy you say that. Like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, she's amazing. She's an amazing singer.
Like I said, don't listen to, you know, if it's women, you know, go listen to some Anita Baker. Go listen to some motherfucking, you know, Minnie Riperton shit. Go listen to some of them motherfuckers who really knew how to sing with shit. And wasn't about motherfucking computerized shit or whatever, you know, just soulful motherfuckers. I think that would help a lot of people find the direction.
Okay, and speaking of like just old music and now production, you're a rapper, so when you're like trying to get on a beat, how do you feel about samples? Like, do you like sample driven beats, or are you not a fan?
It all depends. Shit, I like sample driven shit. I'm not gonna say I don't.
Okay.
But it all depends on what it is, and it got to be done right. I'm not. It was popular at the time. I've never been a fan of that. But whatever works for you, works for you. But if you're able to create something from taking a piece of something that someone never recognizes, and you're able to create a whole motherfucking arrangement out of something that nobody would have ever thought about, then I'm all for sampling. You know, the regular shit that's been there and done that and people use, I gotta stray away from that. But you know, like, I like to deal with producers who go to record shops, dig in the crate, show me a record that I'd never buy in a million years, and come back and go, look what I created by this one piece I took out of here. So I call that really producing, whether you using a sample or not. Now, if you just riding the whole sample for the song of its popularity, then that's a different thing. Anybody can loop a track. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between looping shit and creating shit.
When I think about like creating and digging in crates, I think about who were you talking about? Alchemist. He's like a legend for like getting a crazy sample you'll never think about and flipping it. So yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about.
Alchemist does that shit. Premier does that shit. My old producer DJ Slip does that shit. I mean, they the type that could go to a record store in Germany find a crazy ass fucking record and then flip it to where you got the hottest record in the country. And that's called creation. That's called like, I'm not gonna go take, something that's really already a song and like I said, it's a difference between looping shit and just creating your own.
Mm.
And like, yeah, Alchemist, Premier, my man DJ Slick, my producer right now, Brink Sinatra, he's good at that.
Okay, and kind of reversing back to the whole Southern roots thing. I don't know if it's Southern roots thing or not, but in my house or just around like older people, all I hear is a lot of gospel. I used to hear a lot of gospel, a lot of gospel. So growing up, were you ever or still like listen to gospel? Like, how do you feel about gospel music?
I grew up in a church. My mom we used to go to church every Sunday. So I'm 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 keen to gospel music. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, if you was a kid from the South, you dang sure went to church.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, and with being that Southern kid, we was in church every Sunday, and aunties and cousins was in the choir and all that. So, I'm very used to that.
Okay.
Gospel music was king. Gospel music was king. Andre Crouch and Shirley Caesar,
mm-hmm.
and going to the revivals and the choir shows and the choir little get downs, and I used to do all that as a kid.
Yeah, I feel like that's every little black kid growing up in the South or whatever. You always in the church. But
Exactly.
yep. Fast forward a little bit later into your life, you get a couple acting roles. So that made me ask, were you an actor before, or were you doing music before? Like, which one? I mean, or no, I take it back. Which one interests you first in life, music or acting?
I could say really, I could say music. I was very keen to music back in the days with listening to the groups like Jackson 5 and Five Star and Kids at Work and New Edition. So I was always a music kid, and I always wanted to be, get my sisters or cousins together, and we would listen to the group records and fucking play out, fucking groups, family groups and shit like that. So I was always inclined to want to get into music, but it was always just that fantasy, I guess, of any young kid wanting to have dreams of being a star or whatever. So, but when I started hearing rap music, when I heard like Sucker MCs from Run DMC, or when I heard Rapid Duke or Sparky D or UTFO or Grandmaster Flash, I started really getting into music. And around the time when Cotty T came out, and me being a young kid from Hampton and him being from my neighborhood, the same neighborhood that I was from, I felt like I was given an opportunity to try to come up with some shit too. So that's when I first really started believing in trying to become a rap artist or whatever.
And then on that same note, what made you want to be an actor, or what made you interested in doing that?
Really, shit, just I have seeing colors and seeing fucking boys in the hood. I never went out for a role or nothing, but I just felt like shit. I just felt like maybe I could do that shit. And when the time and opportunity presented itself, when the Hughes brothers called and was like, shit, we want to see if you could try to get the movie, I was all for it, shit. So I went down, read for it, but I never was like, yeah, I'm gonna go after acting or get an agent or anything like that. The opportunity presented itself, so I just felt like, fuck it, I can do that.
So when shooting the movie, Minister Society, like when you're doing it, do you know it's a classic while you're shooting it, or when you're shooting it, you just thinking this is another movie?
I thought it was pretty. I thought it was gonna be a cult classic because looking at the success of Colors and Boys in the Hood in South Central, I felt it was a good storyline. You know what I'm saying? So did I know it was gonna be as big it was? No, but I always felt confident about the movie.
Okay, yeah, because I always feel like when you creating a classic, it's come for music, anything like art wise. When you creating a classic, you don't know it's a classic at the time. You just think it's a good piece of art, but you don't think it's going to be like how you say how it was. So I understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, now that you have did a couple films here and there, I know sometimes like I'm into like my comedy stuff. So when I see somebody like doing something, I'm like, I could have did that joke way better. So when you look at movies, do you ever come across a movie and you're like, I could have played that role way better than he did?
Uh, no, I'd never take that away from the motherfucker, whether they did good or whatever. For me, music has always been my first thing, so I never considered myself, so to speak, actor. So I felt like I was an artist who was given an opportunity to perform in a movie, and I hit it off. But from there, I never got the mind state to go, yeah, I'm an actor now, so I'm going to go after movies. And when I see somebody else playing a role that I figure that I could have did, I don't sit there and go, oh, man, I could have did that better, or I could have did, because I'm not an actor, but if people feel confident enough to give me an opportunity or a role that I can probably fit, or they think I could probably bring life to, then yeah, I'll go at it. But I don't ever sit up and go, oh, I could have played that part better, or I could have played that gangster role better, or I could have played that beat better, because if that was the case, they would have called me for it.
Hey, you a humble guy, man. I would not be like you, man. I'd be like, nigga, I'll destroy that role. You saying they would have called you for it, so I respect you've been in the game for however many years and you still keep the humble. I feel like a lot of people, if they're in your position, they wouldn't be as humble as you. So it's kind of cool that you still keep that humble side of you.
Well, I feel that shit. You can't be too arrogant. You can be confident in your abilities, but being arrogant is one thing, and confidence is another. And I'm confident in myself to where I feel I don't need to be as arrogant to produce that shit to other people. I mean, motherfuckers see what I do. They've seen the work that I've done or whatever, so I accept that. I'm never going to blast myself to a point to where I start being this arrogant ass motherfucking artist who feel like I got to walk around with a stick up my ass and my nose up high.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the fans make you, the people make you. You don't make that shit. You might put out a good record or whatever, but unless the fans spend their money, you don't get shit. You don't whatever. So you got to stay humble and grounded and shit, and not think that you better than the next motherfucker. Even if you feel you are, people tell you are. You just appreciate the compliment and keep it pushing.
That is great advice. That's great advice. And now kind of moving off of the acting into your music, like you were like popping in the '90s, so it's crazy. Like that's when you first started popping, and it's crazy because I don't really get to interview a lot of people that were like legends and was rapping in the '90s. So from your experience in the music game now back then, what would you say the differences are that you see now in the rap game versus back then in the '90s?
Now,
Yeah.
I mean, rap has turned for us in a difficult aspect to where, I mean, I get it. Back when I came up in the '90s, we did what people want to call gangster rap or whatever, but it seemed like we were more acceptable and we were more in agreement with what hip hop stood for, as far as the foundation and the creation and how to deliver music to the fans. Nowadays, it just seems like rap lost its substance today. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Today it's just about fucking bitches, Dracos, popping pills, and how much money you got. And we had braggadocious rappers in our days. My man LL tell you he was bad, or another niggas tell you they was nice on the mic or shit like that. but that was what the braggadocious came to, because you were 100% inclined, or you felt confident about your skills. So yeah, I brag to a motherfucker I can wrap him around a tree because I know I got rap skills. I didn't brag on my outfit, how high I could get from popping pills, or how much money I spent on my European car or my chains and shit. You know, that wasn't the braggadocious status, because after you do that type of shit, then your substance is nothing. Because now you can't come back and tell me some other shit when all you been telling me is how much money you got and how many bitches you fucking. So I think we just had a different substance of how rap was accepted back in the days, and we demanded more from our rap artists.
I would agree. It's crazy that you bring up the whole pills thing, because it's different. It's like people are zombies. Like our rappers are the drug users, not the drug sellers anymore. So it is very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We went from our rappers being the drug dealers, not to advocate it.
Yeah.
We went from our rappers being the drug dealers and telling you how they have to, you know, sell crack and dope to make ends meet and survive in the jungle, and how it infested our neighborhoods and fucked up parents and brothers and sisters and uncles and shit like that, to motherfuckers going, pop you a pill and you the shit. Take you a handful of pills and you the man. Pop you this and you the man. Pop this and pop that and you the boss, you know. So you absolutely right. All rappers went from the drug dealers to the drug users, and because some of the youth are blind to it, it makes it acceptable. You know what I'm saying?
And the saddest thing about the whole thing is that the people listening to it, you know, like rappers in general are just cool people. So the people listening to it, they hear that and they be like, "Oh, he popping pills? It must be cool to pop pills." So now they got everybody else popping pills. So it's a downward spiral for everything.
So you got to be smart and inclined to go. We use this as a tool for entertainment, but as information too for the people who look to get information out of you niggas as rappers.
Mm-hmm.
And when your information to motherfuckers is all I like to do is pop pills and get high, then what kind of message you sending, or what you standing for, of something that we created over 30, 40 years ago. And it's a shame to see it go in this direction, to where we strive for this music, you know what I'm saying, for us to be able to have this shit. Because they didn't want us to have rap music, you know what I'm saying? They wanted it to be a fad of some come and go shit, or the kids like whatever. But we've come a long way and made a lot of money and a lot of lives and careers and jobs out of this shit. So to see it go to waste to a form of where there's no substance and no motherfucking respect for motherfuckers who died for being, you know, rappers. You know, we can have niggas die for this shit.
Mm-hmm. So I agree. I agree. And still speaking on the 90s, what are some things that you miss and don't miss? Like, what are some things that you kind of glad faded away, and some things you wish you can come back from the 90s?
I miss the realness in music. I miss the creation in music. I miss the message in music, and just the down-home goodness of music, period. You know, I miss the days of where, you know, a rap stood for something. But then, you know, in the 90s, we had a lot of controversy with rap because, like you said, a lot of gangers and drug dealers, ex-drug dealers and ex-gangbangers, and a lot of rappers stood for a lot of more, you know, controversy in my days back then. You know, you got controversy now, but it's a lot of make-believe shit, a lot of stage shit. And back in my days, you know, like I said, you know, I miss the days of the conventions when everybody would get together and promote their records and labels, would have parties together and all that shit. Rap had some sort of unity, even though we had our beats, you know, but then, you know, it was just a different feel for the 90s, you know. It was just that nostalgic feel of rap had come, you know, 20 years into the future back then, and everybody was maintaining and sustaining the hip hop culture,
Hmm.
and it was just a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And now from the fast forward to the '90s to now, we got MC8 dropping "Which Way Is West." Now, like I said, I'm an album reviewer, but I feel bad because I haven't got to thoroughly listen to this album like I wanted to. But what I caught on first listen alone, man, that Lady of Rage feature is crazy. Like she went completely off. So she slid on that whole thing. And then I'm listening to the rest of the album, and you just had amazing verses throughout the whole thing. So I just want you to tell me just a little bit more about the album, and just anything you want to share about the album.
Well, you know, we just tried to capture that nostalgic feel of the '90s with this record, which is why I called it "Which Way Is West." I just wanted to capture some of the nostalgic feel of the '90s when music felt important to me as an artist, and I just felt like, you know, with all the shit that was going on today, you know, we needed to get back to the yesterdays of feel good hip hop and what hip hop stood for. And I wanted to construct a project that was nostalgic of the '90s. Therefore, I went out and reached, you know, and got people like Rage and D Real and Corrupt and Big Mike and Bumpy Knuckles, the Outlaws, dudes whose careers in the '90s were at the highest of the height, and they were leading they were leading their prospective genres
Hmm.
in what they were doing as far as rap music. So that's what we went for as far as putting Which Way Is West together. We didn't try to do anything of what was catchy today or what people were doing or try to mimic something from what was out. We wanted to take you on a trip of the '90s and give you some of that nostalgic feel. And then, you know, all the guest appearances, you know, I felt like everybody put their 100% effort in the song. So we're coming to the music that we was gonna use for the guest appearances. I really went the extra mile. Blink went the extra mile. Premier went the extra mile to try to capture everybody's feel on the track. So I think that's why the record came out so good.
I agree. I can't wait to sit down and listen to it some more so I can, really digest it. But the last question before we get into the fan questions and we out of here, I like to ask a lot of people this, and it's not like I said, it's rare that I get a '90s legends on here. So, from your experience in the '90s or now, anything like any funny or crazy stories that you really never shared before that you've had with other artists or producers or something, just a interesting story that people may be interested in listening to. It could be anything.
Man, interesting stories to me was like I used to always, just inclined to just hanging out with other rappers or just on some friendship, just being able to go out and hang and joke around and have fun. And, one of my stories is we used to, me and one time, and, people would always think that Pac was this hard up, dude or whatever, but he was really a laid back dude. So, we used to ride together in the vans or whatever and go on tour. And he was a joke. He was a funny joker. You know what I'm saying? He liked to laugh and have fun. So that's what I like to tell people about not my experiences that I've had with other dudes. Pac and Scarface has always been two of my good friends, you know what I'm saying, in the business. Whenever we would see each other on the road, we would always generally just have a good time. Scarface was always one of my close friends. He would come to my house, kick it, fall asleep, we like actual relatives or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's my experience with being with other dudes in the business. It's just having that general respect for each other and being able to, outside of the industry, being able to kick it like real homies.
Okay. Well, we're getting these fan questions and we'll be out of here. Who we got? We got Tiny Tit Tina. She asks, what did he think about the Tupac movie? If he's seen it.
I haven't seen the Tupac movie.
Okay, you haven't
I
seen
know a
it.
lot of people. A lot of people have asked me, have I seen the Tupac movie? But no, I haven't seen it because, like I said, I knew Tupac for who he was, what he stood for, and all the experiences that they're portraying in the movie, I kind of already knew about or already, experienced whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see it. Maybe I'll see it when it die down and the hoopla die down,
Yeah.
and I can just go watch a movie, whatever. So, but no, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I have no opinion about it.
All right. Uh, Bagel Don asks, how did the track with Kendrick come about?
Actually, Kendrick reached out to me and said he wanted to get me on the song. I knew about Kendrick from his Section 80 record that he put out independently. So I had heard about him, knew that he was up and coming, representing Compton, conscious, grew up in gang environment, but still was a conscious, young cat. So when he reached out to me, I just was like, yeah, definitely. And then, when I went in the studio with him, he already had the song ready, the track laid out, the direction of what he wanted to do with the record and blah, and all that. So it was a good experience working with him because it wasn't something like we just walked in blind and, let's just do something, whatever. He already had a concept and a direction of what he was wanting to do on the song. So it just made it easy for me in the studio.
Okay. Versus you ask him how monumental it was ending the beef with DJ Quick.
That was big because, like I said, we're coming from something that stood important for me back in the days of being a part of hip hop. We've seen a lot of controversy and a lot of negativity with our craft. So, but like I said, coming from gangs and coming from times and him being a blood and me being a crip, it went deeper than just record shit. Like I said, we both were gang banging or turfs. So the beef went a little deeper than just rap alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very monumental to squash that beef because it enabled people to see how we matured as rap artists first, but just as grown men too. And that, nobody wants to see no negativity come to this situation. And plus we were both in this to represent Compton as a whole. So it didn't make any sense.
Okay. Wiggler ask him what he felt when he heard new artists coming up influenced by his sound. If he felt like if they felt like he were biting, or did you feel more accomplished as an artist?
It all depends on, there's a thing as a paying respect to an artist, and then there's a thing of biting style. So it all depends on how you look at it. Have I influenced a lot of people to say jail and use the jail word? Of course. But I don't look at that as biting. I look at that as respect on those people looking to the words of maybe where it came from or whatever. So I try to look at things in the positive and not on the negative shit with people, because you don't know what motherfuckers' intentions are. So I try to give niggas the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. What else we got? Water Giver. He ask him, does he regret making an album that is for the purpose of playing and setting the mood when committing a drive-by nowadays, now that he's older?
No, because that was my aspect at the time. I was a young gangbanger.
Mm-hmm.
So my music reflects what I was going through in my maturity process of growing up in Compton, being involved in the gang, being involved in gang activities and situations. So my message then was to inform motherfuckers on what we were doing and what life was for a 19-year-old kid growing up in Compton, gang banging and selling dope.
I don't mean to cut you off. My fault, keep going, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I don't mean to cut you off, but it really bothers me when people kind of criticize rap when they're like, ooh, all they do is talk about killing people or shooting people, but what they fail to realize is that they don't know anything outside of that. They're young, they could be 18,
that was my life.
Yeah.
That was my life. I mean, shit, I grew up in the middle of gang banging in Compton. And at fucking 13 years old, I don't know nothing outside of Compton. Of course, I mean, I might have went to summer vacations in Florida and Tampa, but that was for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? When I get back, I'm still living in the middle of Compton. I gotta walk to school every day with niggas on the corner selling dope. I gotta walk past niggas who sweat you because you wear the wrong color. I gotta go to school and fight niggas because they from different territories than I'm going from. What do you expect? 80% of motherfuckers go through that living in where I grew up at. So it wasn't that I wanted to glorify killing motherfuckers or wearing blue or claiming a set, but this is a reflection of what I went through when I grew up from 12 years old to 21. This is what I saw because I had no opportunity outside of that.
And it's just,
you know, could you have been book smart and went to college and all that shit? Who knows? But my path did not present that to me.
And
did I have a mama that worked? Of course. My mom worked. Was my parents divorced? Yeah. Did my mom do everything for us that she could? Of course. But I still lived in the middle of gang infestation.
Yep.
So it was no way around it. And it was you either became or belonged or you got punked every day. You get me? So who wants to go through that shit?
Yeah.
Who wants to be a 12, 13-year-old kid coming home every day or going to school every day
I agree.
Sweated, getting chased home. After a minute, you're gonna either kill a motherfucker or you're gonna be comfortable or you're gonna be long. And that's the choices that a lot of young men in my area were faced with. You know what I'm saying? By the time I got from crawling and walking and getting out of diapers and riding a tricycle, it was gang banging. It was nothing else. Even if you played football, you was gang banging. Even if you played baseball, you was gang banging. Even if you played basketball, you was gang banging. You get me?
Yeah.
Because somebody around your circle, whether it was your sister, your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your friend next door, your whatever, they were banging. So you look dumb when you didn't do it. Fuck it, my sister do it, I'ma do it, my brother gonna do it, my uncle do it. It's like it's what you did. It wasn't a choice. Now, if I grew up in somewhere like Lakewood or Cerritos or somewhere where when I walked outside or went to catch the bus to school, there was no gangs. When I went to school, motherfuckers went to school to go to school. There wasn't a group of gangster niggas hanging at the lunch table or over by the front gate or blah, blah, blah. If I grew up in that area and never was introduced to it, you might not even see an MC8 today. But that experience is what made me the motherfucker I grew up to be, who I was, and it also made me transition as a man to see a lot of shit was unfucking avoidable as a youth.
I like to use the example like somebody like Vanilla Ice. Like Vanilla Ice rapping about like girls and money or whatever he's seen when he was brought up. And then it's the same way somebody like you rapping about gang banging and dope and all that because that's what you seen when you grew up. Like you can't rap about anything that you don't know about. So it's not like you have to of your environment. And it's different because the 90s y'all didn't have the internet. So it's not like y'all could just see money and stuff and rap about stuff y'all don't. Y'all just rapping about literally what you wake up and see in real life. So it's different. So
you goddamn right.
Yep. So yeah, I agree.
Like you said, there's the internet and there's all that shit. So fuck it. If I want to rap about I might not have a fucking dollar in my pocket. But if I want to rap about I got platinum chains and $1 million and I pull up in the Euro whip and we be flossing with the bitches and all that, I could do that now because a lot of this shit is make believe.
I agree. Let's roll into the next fan question. We got a couple more left. 313 for Life asks, where's his original DJ and production team he had in the 90s? And why doesn't he use the same sound he did when he became successful?
And I tell people this. I get with people saying that a lot of people grew up on a certain sound with MC8. You know, I did a lot of slow fucking movie type like you said, drive-by music.
Mm-hmm.
My music, because that was a reflection of who I was at the time. Who I was at the time was an 18, 19-year-old kid who was still gang banging, who was still hanging in the neighborhood. I just was making records. So my music reflected what I was. I was a gangbanger. I was a nigga who talked about drive-by killings and fucking fuck the police type of shit and selling drugs and mamas overdosing and daddies being in prison. I did that. But you can't expect me to do that now, today. Because I don't do that today.
Yeah.
I don't hang on the block. I don't fucking I still go to Compton and see my niggas, but I ain't out there selling dope. I mean, I go still see my niggas, but I ain't over there waiting for a nigga to come through for a drive-by. I mean, I'm not going to jump in the car, slide my niggas, and go pull out a motherfucking AK out the trunk and spray the block. So my music has to reflect what I am today, and that's just a grown motherfucker. So I'm gonna give you some grown-up West Coast music that's nostalgic of the 90s, and that's which way is West is. If I'm trying to tell you how 3 of the homies went drive-by killing right now, then yeah, I'll be speaking on like I was speaking when I was dealing with that situation back then. But this is a time right now in music where we just need some motherfucking true hip-hop. Straightforward music, straightforward lyrics, and nostalgic of the feel of the 90s. So that's why.
And that goes back to what you were saying about niggas making make-believe music, you know what I'm saying? Niggas just rapping about anything. So, obviously, you're not into making make-believe music. You want to make music that reflect what's going on with you in 2017.
Because it makes no element.
Mm-hmm.
It's no substance behind make-believe shit. Like, yeah, you can sell a motherfucker a dream, but pretty soon he gonna wake up.
Mm.
And that's what you're going through right now. A lot of people are coming out of that motherfucking pill-popping, drinking, induced haze of making it rain in the clubs and faucets, and people are waking out of that haze knowing, like, really? This is what we've been listening to? Like, you know, what happened to the nostalgic music of storytelling and having a good time and not being so flamboyant with money and fucking bitches and being drug addicts and shit? So, you know, people are at that stage.
I agree. Last fan question we got comes from Young NATO. He says, always been a big fan, keep pushing on, but I have a question. Who's your favorite porn star?
Porn star?
Porn star.
I don't have a favorite porn star.
No favorite
I ain't gonna lie and say I've never seen porn or looked at porn, but I don't have a favorite porn star. I think that's pretty deep to have a favorite porn star. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's somebody's really into porn. Like, you know, favorite porn stars, going to the award shows and all that. That's really a fan of porn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't think nobody can say that they've never glanced at a porn movie or watched a porn movie before unless you're just a straight ace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to motherfucking know people and be like, oh, that's Amy or that's Anna and that's so-and-so and she got movies and I went to that's kind of deep. So, no, I don't have a favorite porn star.
Well, hey, man, that was the last fan question. So before we get out of here, anything you want to say before we wrap this interview up? Any last words?
I mean, you know, the new album is out now, Which Way is West. We're getting good response from it. So I want to thank the fans for being able to accept a normal record in this day and time of, you know, having so many choices to choose to listen to and spend your money. So I respect that, and people can reach me on Twitter at 808. You can reach me on Instagram at 808, on Facebook at 8 Compton. You know, get a record a chance. If you ain't heard it, take a listen to it. I think it's something you'll really enjoy.
Alright, well, hey, that's the last word. Until next time, y'all already know I say what I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, and players gonna play, man. Holla at your boy.